You're listening to the After the Show movie podcast brought to you by ascully.com. And here are your hosts, A Scully and Sid Talk. Hello, Sid Talk.
They poisoned our asses.
Yeah.
The humans are dead.
We did it.
Got a little revival of the old, before the After the Show discussion included last night. We're going way back. Was it last night or today when you watched that? Days of
Flight of the Conchords?
Yeah.
This morning.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
That was way before.
Flight of the Conchords was one of my favourite shows on HBO from probably mid-2000s. And they did a concert last night on HBO, like a reunion. It's very funny. Watch it.
Just watch it.
The humans are dead. All right, so what is the before, the after the show discussion apart from that?
This movie. What else was there?
We had a tornado warning.
Yeah.
We
the
were
electricity
watching,
went off during the movie.
It did. We were in the middle. We were in our basement, so we were in the correct place.
We were safe.
The tornado sirens were screaming, but nothing happened.
Nah. As usual. I mean, knock wood, because it does happen, but not to us so far.
Yeah, not to us. We went upstairs and our house was still intact.
Correct.
All right, so this movie was like a perilous movie, but what was more perilous was the fact that our house could have blown down while we were watching it.
But we survived.
And we wouldn't have heard it because the movie was so loud in our basement.
Correct. Cracked.
So it is the weekend of Saturday, October the 6th. This is After the Show. We're a movie review podcast, and this is our 551st episode. We look at a movie every week. This week, we're looking at the movie Skyscraper. It's a 2018 movie. Releases on 4K, Blu-ray, and it's already out on digital, but for the discs, you can pick it up on October the 9th. It's PG-13. It's from our friends at Universal who sent us a disc to review, and Sid Talk will give you the synopsis of Skyscraper.
Big building, lots of action, lots of sap.
Very good.
There's a bad guy, and there's a good guy.
All right, so...
And there's a plot, kind of. It's got a lot of holes in it there, been drilled in there.
Yeah. So Skyscraper, it was a beginning of the summer big blockbuster movie in the theatres. I saw the trailer at the time. I think you might have, maybe? Or not?
I think so. I'm not sure.
The trailer pretty much gave the whole movie away, to be honest. All the big action scenes that you see in this movie are in that trailer. So this isn't the first Dwayne Johnson movie we've seen this summer, because we saw Rampage and reviewed it recently.
True.
So is this your favourite Dwayne Johnson movie of the summer?
No. Is that a trick question? No. Not my favorite of the summer.
Okay, so let me have
Nor
your
my favorite
opinion
ever.
On Skyscraper.
Okay. My opinion?
No, the other person in the room.
It's fine. I said it in my synopsis. It's a big building with lots of action and too much sap. But it's fun. I even almost shed a tear.
You did?
Yep.
Well, that was one more tear than I shed because I didn't shed it.
I'm just saying, it was fun. It served its purpose. I'll forget it by tomorrow or by tonight.
Yeah.
But I will say,
that's a really good review there.
But I have to say, I put my hands up. There are particular people in the Hollywood world
that bore you to death so much you go asleep.
No. Who I actually really like, and some people would be like, ugh, but I like Dwayne Johnson. I just like him. I'm not saying he's brilliant. I'm not saying he's great in everything. I'm not saying he's not trying to just churn out money-making movies. I don't care. I just enjoy. I've been turned around because I didn't used to think that way.
Can I say that...
is it as good as what I said?
I found this movie... I enjoyed Dwayne Johnson movies also. I enjoyed Rampage quite a bit, to be honest. It was kind of crazy and fun.
Yeah.
But what I feel about Skyscraper is it's a really, really, really generic action movie.
It's generic, except we have to bring this to the forefront here. It is a man who is an amputee.
Yeah.
And so he utilizes that prosthetic leg as a weapon, as a thing, as a tool, and incorporates it. They incorporate it into everything he does. I felt like they did a good job with that. And to me, that makes it, and it's also about the family and the wife kind of being a part of the whole thing. Not too much, unfortunately, but, just enough.
But let me say this, though. It is, for me anyway, it's a very generic action movie. If it didn't have The Rock in it, and it had a bunch of, lesser known people, and it was a straight-to-video movie, it would be the same movie.
Yeah.
And it'd be a similar, The Rock doesn't make this movie good. In fact, I like The Rock quite a lot, but I think in this movie, the script is so, paper thin, and the plot is so... We've seen this plot 1,000 times, really, haven't we? Maybe not in a Skyscraper, or maybe we have already seen this in a Skyscraper. I don't know. But even he, who is one of the most charismatic people I think around, who can really breathe life into something, I feel like he was even struggling with this one. Whereas Rampage, I felt like he was having a real fun time and it was crazy. With this one, it just seemed a bit like they were sucking the life out of him a bit because of the character they've developed for him.
I don't know about that.
Is this kind of unfun kind of guy? It's not a serious
he's had a hard time.
It's not a really serious movie.
It's not serious, but it starts really dark.
Yeah, it does, but it's very corny and cheesy, the movie in general.
At times.
So it doesn't fit they set the movie up at the beginning with a very, very dark and bleak opening sequence. And I don't think the movie fits with that, because then it goes kind of sci-fi-ish almost, and it also goes super cheesy, here's the bad guys, here's the good guys, Yeah, the very cardboard cutout, for sure. Yeah, and a lot of, I even said to you, a guy walks onto the screen, I said, that guy, don't trust him.
He's bad.
Here's another guy. Oh, look at that guy. Well, he's not to spoil that bit, but there's another guy who we looked at him and said, oh, of course he's a bad guy, right? I mean, it's all super telegraphed. Dare
we say that someone in studios and in production, I'm just going to put this out there, make movies now that they know people will watch on a tablet or a phone. So it's geared to that and not somebody who's actually hunkering down. You
don't have to concentrate.
You have to concentrate. You're watching it on the train on the way to work. You're watching it under your desk at school like you're not supposed to. Whatever. And you're not really engaged in the experience of watching a movie. It's just fodder for getting through an hour and a half of your life. Whatever else you could be doing. So that if you go too deep or make it boring, just turn it off and watch something else.
Yeah, but as far as this movie goes and how transparent the plot is, there is not, for me anyway, there wasn't one moment where I was surprised.
No.
There wasn't one moment where there was a plot twist where I was like, oh, because it all was exactly how it's so telegraphed. The rich guy walks into there's a globe thing on top of a skyscraper. It's kind of cool looking.
The building is awesome. I'll give it that.
Dwayne Johnson into it and demonstrates what the globe is. And as soon as he demonstrates what the globe is, it's, to me, I don't know if it was to you, it was clear that the final showdown would take place in that dome.
Oh, duh. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
Yeah, you know what I mean? That's how it kind of works, this movie. It tells you way in advance what is going to happen. And secondly, it's not the first movie to do that. Any Roland Emmerich movie, like The Day After Tomorrow, all those type of movies, they do the same thing, right?
And you can make the exact same arguments.
About Rampage, which was his other movie, couldn't you? I mean, that doesn't really have any surprises either.
You could even say that about Die Hard. I know it's beloved, but it's a bad guy, a good guy.
Yeah.
He's going to go through some... you get to know the people a bit more in something like Die Hard.
Yeah.
But it's still the same formula. A guy protecting someone he loves, and he goes to superhuman effort to overcome the foe.
Now, what I did like is I like the concept of this skyscraper. It's not even, it's like I say, it's a sci-fi skyscraper, isn't it? It's not a legitimate thing that could be built. I don't think.
Not that I know of, but hey, I don't.
I mean,
know.
it doesn't. What I mean is, it doesn't exist and it won't exist. It's a crazy movie like spectacle skyscraper. It's the biggest one ever. It's got this giant ball on top. It's got when they do the CG pan up through the skyscraper at the beginning, it's got gardens and forests, and it's its own ecosystem that lives in this skyscraper. It's cool, and a really cool concept. I loved it, but I feel like the movie didn't have enough budget to actually show it you properly. Did you feel that? We didn't really see it properly?
Yeah, and the understanding that he knows it very well was thrown away in one line where the wife says, well, you've been looking at this for 6 months, you know it from top to bottom, and now we're just convinced he literally knows every single thing about it, which was a bit quick.
And us as an audience don't. We just saw a quick pan up the skyscraper, and we saw, oh, look, it's got a forest, it's got a park, it's got a thing, it's got a bridge. Oh, and then it's got a big ball on top, and then we're done with that, and then the rest of the movie is like just this claustrophobic, we're in one room, we're in a tunnel shaft, we're in a thing, right? It goes small. It starts giant and goes small, which I often have a problem. I know this movie had a pretty decent budget. It's not like a cheap,
but it has a lot of holes. You just can't think about it.
It also has a lot of like cheesy green screen special effects that don't look particularly great.
True.
You know that bit where the mom and the kids and they build that little bridge and she has to walk across and all the stuff falling in the background doesn't look like it is in the scene at all. They're not kind of lit that way. The people, it just seems like, it's all CG. Obviously it is. It's a skyscraper that is on fire. They didn't actually set a skyscraper on fire. That's not how movies work.
Don't say that. We've seen real cars get blown up. We've seen real buildings that have been blown up. We've seen ships that have been sank. So,
But it also had a lot of, like I said to you, this movie is also like a joint US/Hong Kong movie. So there's a portion of actors from Hong Kong, and then there's your Hollywood actors that you'll know. And the Hong Kong actors are also big actors in their, Hong Kong. It came about, the first time we saw that in Hollywood movies was Pacific Rim, the first one. It had this like huge international cast and a lot of Chinese people in it. And now I feel like we're seeing it more and more, and it just smells of money to me. Like it smells like we need to sell movies in China.
Yeah.
So if we mix the American and the Chinese together, we can sell it to both markets. It just smacks of marketing rather than inclusion. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, but how could you do it in a way that doesn't?
I don't know.
I mean, it has to, if it's going to be done, it's always going to seem that way until at some time in the future when it becomes the norm.
And you don't think about it anymore. Yeah. I think about it now, we've seen a few movies recently where, Pacific Rim was one. Pacific Rim 2 was definitely one. There was something else we saw the other week where... Ready Player One is one as well, right? It had a bunch of Chinese actors, had a bunch of American actors.
Yeah.
But it doesn't come across quite right to me. While everybody's great as well, that's the thing. Like, all the actors in this were good. They were giving The Rock a run for his money. Yeah.
I think everybody was fine.
Yeah. But
it was cheesy and not intentionally cheesy, but the moments when people had one line to say, like, bring him to me, I want to talk to him. Yeah. And then stare at the screen and then look at their coworker like, oh, well, that's not much to get you to do much, but they were fine. Everybody was fine. There wasn't any ooh. Well, a couple of the stunt people did that thing where they shake their head whenever they get punched or shot. You know what I'm talking about? That,
like the Jackie Chan movie.
Kind of, yes.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa.
And that's just like a normal thing in like martial arts movies, right? But
I think it's in all kinds of movies.
You don't feel like it fits in a movie like this. But I did like some things about this movie. One, I liked... There's one particular fight sequence that he has. And it's right near the beginning of the film. And he has a fight. And it reminds me of Jason Bourne. It's like up close and personal. He's using his leg as... He's got a prosthetic leg, we said earlier. Mm-hmm. He's using that leg as a weapon. He's using everything in the room as a weapon against... They're getting hit with TVs, and a tablet goes in his face, and smash it. Oh, ooh. You know on your stove, you know that...
Yeah,
you know
on our
metal,
stove now, yeah.
On people's stoves, the metal part that you lift up.
It's not even metal, it's wrought iron.
Wrought iron, yeah. He gets whacked with one of them. It's like crazy. It's like... I love that fight. I thought it was really well choreographed. Everything in the room pretty much got smashed up. Anything that was of value got smashed. It was really satisfying to watch.
It was kind of like Atomic Blonde, too. They put that to use.
That's what it felt like to me. There are... With it being like a movie about him rescuing in a skyscraper, there are very few, actually, big action scenes, like set pieces. There's the one where he jumps across to the building, right? Can you think of others? Like big, like huge, like, oh, well, this is the thing we come to the movies to see. Like Tom Cruise walking.
I just think the building spectacle in itself, like in the glory that it is, and then being on fire, and then how it will fall apart as it's burning.
Yeah. Now, spoilers. Let me talk some spoilers here. Close your ears if you haven't seen this movie. And then I'm going to spoil in a few seconds. Now, that promises a lot, what you just said. It looks cool. It's a big CGI skyscraper on fire. It looks really cool. And I said to you, the stakes never go further than that. We see it on fire, and I was waiting for half of it to fall over because, come on. It was getting ruined, right, the entire movie. It was... Yeah. Like, I wanted the top half to fall off. I thought that was the third act big special effect, but it is not that. I mean, we just see it on fire the entire time, and then we don't see it on fire. I mean, I feel like it should have been some more... They should have upped the ante of danger towards the end, but they didn't really, right? I mean...
No.
It just stayed the same. It's on fire. I kept thinking, is it going to fall over? Because, like... People seem pretty calm down below. They're all stood looking. That's also, if you're in any country, it doesn't matter where you are. If there's a big skyscraper on fire, there's a possibility it's going to fall over. Don't stand and look up at it. Because they keep cutting to this like crowd of people who are stood with the news reporters looking at it. That's
also very old-fashioned, though. Like from old
Godzilla,
movies and radio shows where... There's the people at the bottom cheering for,
Yeah.
The guy.
It felt like Godzilla is what I kept thinking of. Because on any of those old Godzilla movies, Godzilla's rummaging around the city, about to smash it all up. And there's people stood there watching, like in a big crowd, going, ooh, look, Godzilla. And you're like, please leave the city, go somewhere else, because Godzilla is about to kill everybody. So, yeah, it's got that kind of thing. The conclusion, did you like it? I didn't find it satisfying. I found it unsatisfying. The bad guy dies in my worst possible way.
Not specifically.
No, but I mean, that did not. The icing on the cake there that they tried to throw in did not fix that for me. It was like... it's like I'm watching Die Hard again. You know?
More spoilers.
Oh, I've said
it's not just Die Hard. Die Hard didn't invent that.
It didn't, but Die Hard's the one I always think of.
Yeah.
I'll give it to... Die Hard can have the bad guy falling off the thing and looking at him as he goes down. That's where it stopped for me. Like, that was it. Then whenever I see a bad guy fall off something and you see him falling down and looking up, it feels old. like it's...
But it had a twist. Come on, they put a twist in there.
Well, this one he had a grenade, and the grenade goes off as he falls, right? So
he blows up and falls. That's different.
It's different, but it didn't. It still I feel like it's the cheapest, like, bad guy death.
And also, that bad guy didn't seem that bad.
I mean, he was bad, but he
wasn't, like, evil
dull.
bad.
He was kind of dull. And that's maybe the problem I have with the movie in general. It's not... It looks very exciting from the trailer to me. It looked very exciting in the trailer. It showed that here's the most advanced skyscraper you've ever seen. It showed you that part, and then it showed you Dwayne Johnson jumping from that crane to the building. And then it showed you him like where he was looking over the edge, and it gives you vertigo. And then it cut to the skyscraper logo, and I was like, wow, that is cool. But that what I just explained to you is the best part of the movie. The trailer is the best part of the movie.
I disagree, but...
I didn't find the drama interesting in the slightest, really.
I didn't feel the, like, guttural father protecting, saving his children thing. No. Unfortunately. Didn't feel that.
And I didn't... Any conversation from the bad guy or the rich guy or any of that stuff is just all serviceable movie kind of dialogue. Like, we're going to get the helicopter. Those kind of... It's just really...
And the actual thing that the bad guy wanted. Ugh.
Yeah.
A hard drive with a list of names on it. Nobody gives a shit anymore. We're over it.
How many movies have we seen?
We're over it. We understand technology and lists of names. I mean, everybody back to Mission Impossible did it. Bond has done it. Bourne has done it. It's just boring.
Yeah, it is. It's almost like...
I say, fair enough. Everybody on the list is fair game. It's a little twist on that list as well, but still.
When I've talked about before about these kind of movies, like generic kind of action movies to me, how like if you throw a load of ideas into a randomizer and it comes out the other side, it's like a list of what's the MacGuffin type thing. It's a list of it's a hard drive with a list of people. Where's it set? A skyscraper. Could be any. You know what I mean? It's like a list of things. Who's in it? The Rock. What's the bad guys?
It's a formula.
Yeah, there's definitely... You can see the formula as you're watching this movie. It's just... I don't know. For a movie called Skyscraper that looked very exciting from the trailer, I found it particularly dull to watch. And that's a problem for me. Whereas Rampage, I didn't find it dull because there was things in Rampage I didn't expect when like a giant wolf shows up and, there's things in that movie.
Not that it was good.
No, it's crazy and like over the top, but it's there was things where I was like, oh, I didn't think they would go that far. It's a huge spectacle. Whereas this, while the skyscraper on fire is a huge spectacle, what's going on inside it is like this small little thing in a couple of rooms, which it's like this small melodrama going here, whereas it could be huge and big, but it didn't feel like it. So that's how the movie felt for me. I think you might have liked it more than I did.
I think it was fun.
I thought it was...
I'm being less judgmental.
So by the numbers, and
True.
If it doesn't have a surprise...
But I don't think that equals bad.
No, I mean, it's technically good, but like I say, every time somebody said something, or didn't say something, I just saw the face of a person. I go, bad guy. That person will probably save the day.
Truly disposable bad guys as well. Let's not forget.
That person's crucial to saving the day. Those kids are the peril because we don't like kids in danger. It's just numbers. Like I didn't feel a heart, let me say. So, talking of heart, let's go to the cast. Dwayne Johnson plays Will Sawyer. Now, if I did like something about it, I liked who he was, the character. He's a
he was like a special forces FBI guy.
Yeah.
Gets his leg blown off.
Right.
And now he's an amputee who's in the 10 years we haven't seen him, has put his life back together.
And what is he?
I don't know. Security expert?
Security expert is what I
kind of got
at.
that. That's kind of what I came up with.
Which we also have seen before. Like, Liam Neeson. He was an ex-Marine. Now he's a security expert.
Well, this is nothing new. They're not even pretending.
That's what I'm saying. There's nothing new, is there? Nothing. No. So I liked the fact that he was an amputee. I thought that was interesting. At first I was like, why is he an amputee? What's going to be the payoff for that? Just to make it so he's less able? But actually they didn't go that way. They made him more like a superhero almost. He could do anything, right? Even when his leg is off, he's like beating the crap out of people. So
with the leg,
yeah. And then I was watching it thinking, is this disrespectful to amputees? Is it?
Why would you think that?
There was points where I was like, this guy, it's Rock as an amputee. Like, Rock's not an amputee, and
why? Well, we can't. Oh my God! I said that actually. I jokingly said, "Oh,
no,
how rude."
That's not what I'm saying. They should have hired an amputee. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, is this just like gratuitously like we'll have an amputee because it's cool? It looks cool.
It'll titillate the people who want to see amputees, or I don't. As you mean, same as what you're saying about making it in China. The inclusion thing
kind
isn't
inclusion.
It's like another formula. It's like a little fish on a worm on a hook.
Like, let's have a gay or a trans character just because we feel like we would be cooler.
Not because it's truly advancing the story.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I had a feeling of that, but then when we watched one of the extras and it was they had a amputee consultant on the set who actually coached Dwayne Johnson with, this is how you would really walk, and like if you were going to run, this is, and I did see that in the movie that Dwayne Johnson was...
It was pretty consistently
being an amputee, right?
Yeah.
He wasn't forgetting and being...
I'm sure people point out times when he did, but...
Yeah, I think he did a good job of it. So I did like what the character was of him, but then while all that is cool and good, where his journey goes, beginning to end, doesn't really go anywhere, does it?
No, he's arrived. We haven't seen him struggle.
No.
Except for this thing climbing around a building.
Yeah. And here's somebody I haven't seen for a long time, Neve Campbell. She plays his wife, Sarah Sawyer. I said to you, she was in all the Scream movies. She was like, in that period of time there, she was a big... she was in a lot of things.
She was kind of a big deal.
And then she just disappeared. But then when I looked, she'd been on some TV shows that we don't watch, so, that person goes off the radar for you.
So to you, she doesn't exist.
Exactly, right. And I've not seen her since the Scream movies, I don't think, really. What did you think of her? Here.
She was all right. I mean...
I think she fit.
She fit, yes. There wasn't a lot. They tried to make it seem like mom/wife is sort of kind of coming to the rescue, but then it wasn't really.
She was a badass when she needed to be. She was a mom when she needed to be.
Yeah. But there wasn't a lot of guts there with that family to me. And she was part of that.
Chin Han plays Zhao Longji. He's the guy who owns the skyscraper. He's just a rich guy. When I said to you about halfway through the movie, when the skyscraper is burning all down, and he said something like, I said to you, what the...
They said, what are you going to do? And I said, rebuild.
And I said, has he just got unlimited money? Because how much must this thing cost? Like, it's the biggest skyscraper in the entire world. Like.
And the plot, the thing that's spurred it all on is absent from the whole movie. The reason for the bad guy's motivation and this guy holding on to that hard drive. It's just it's nothing. It's completely removed. We don't see any of that. We don't see any other people. This guy even said the people I work for aren't going to like it or whatever. And you're like, who's that?
Never see any people, no.
None of there's no real gutsy motivation. You don't see the people who are going to benefit. You don't fully understand. And it's all for money and to build this big building. That's it. There's no heart. We said heart a lot, but there's no like demented like bad guy or, I said it would have even been good. And there were times when I thought, oh, because they mentioned it several times that Dwayne Johnson was in on it. He's in on it. They suspected him. I'm like, oh, that would be interesting if at the end, he actually doesn't care about his family. It's all a ruse. And he's actually the guy. I was like, but they didn't do that.
You know what? Yeah, my version is towards the end, he's about to rescue the family. And then the bad guys turn up. And then Dwayne Johnson, that's where he flips. Like, of course I'm on the bad guy's side. And then he kills his family and joins them and parachutes off the top of the building. No, I don't
think you should do that.
Yeah, that's
just rude.
No, that's not rude. That is rude.
That is rude.
That's a real bad guy. And that's where you would be true. Like, you would be like, what the The Rock just murdered his family. But
in my version, he doesn't murder them. He just doesn't try to save them.
so this Chin Han guy, what did you like this millionaire?
Yeah, he's fine.
Well, he had to be a gazillionaire, right?
Something high $1. He was fine. Like I said, every single person was fine. There was nobody who stands out.
Let me say that this person isn't fine. This next person, Noah Taylor as Mr. Pierce. I dislike Noah Taylor because they keep like you said, the thing about Andy Murray's mum.
Yeah.
About not liking somebody, but you don't realise why.
They will not understand that reference.
No. This Noah Taylor guy, you've seen him in Tomb Raider, you've seen him in Preacher.
He's a weasel.
I actually kind of like him in Preacher, to be honest, but then if you understand what his character is in Preacher, he's pretty much the ultimate bad guy. But in this, as soon as he turns up, and he's this consultant guy for the guy, security consultant, I think, wasn't...
No, he's the insurance auditor.
That's what he is.
Well, says he is.
Yeah. As soon as he turns up and his face turns up on the screen, I said to you, don't trust that guy. And you don't trust that guy because in any movie that he's in, you don't trust him, right?
True.
Definitely don't trust him in Preacher. But he plays it like it's like twirly mustache guy, Dick Dastardly. You know?
True. A little bit over,
Yeah.
but still fine for what it was to me.
Yeah, well, no, not for me. I wish he'd have fell off the top of the skyscraper earlier. Pablo Schreiber. I had no idea this was Liev Schreiber's brother. Plays Ben. I actually kind of liked him too, but again, this movie, as soon as he's introduced and he's got that scar on his neck,
Immediately. And he's his friend. You're like, oh, he's bad. He's bad. He's bad.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. It's like too much telegraphing. Don't put the scar on his neck, and don't dress him in a weaselly certain way where you look at him and go,
don't
that's
have him look shiftily at his phone and at the guy immediately.
It's too much. Like
string it out a little bit.
I was almost, he steps onto the screen, and within a tenth of a second, you understand. Oh, that's a bad guy.
Correct.
And there's not. I was hoping they were going to throw me a curveball and he not be that. It was just my judgment of him that was wrong, but it wasn't. And then you've got the main bad guy in this movie, who's played by Roland Moller, and it's Corez Bother, and he's this mercenary type guy in a bulletproof vest, and he's got a lot of big muscles, and he is the most cardboard cutout baddie.
So boring, unbelievably boring.
It's like, every other movie you've seen with this big burly guy with a machine gun and a vest and a bald head, and he looks kind of tough or something, and that's it. And
he's not even interesting, like crazy, or
he doesn't play it in any
kind of like sicko, or we don't know that he has a good reason or bad reason.
No.
Like nothing about him at all.
It's two-dimensional bad guy 101.
So I think our problem is, if you're saying that the sequences with the building, which is the star of the show, are not that interesting, then all the other parts, if they're not, like the people are two-dimensional, uninteresting, it all just it's like all muddied together. There's nothing that stands out to you.
I think so. The bit going down in the elevator, she has to pull the handle. It's going very fast.
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
It almost turned into like, I don't know, like it seemed. They set it up. This is how he's going to rescue her. She goes in this magnet-activated maglift. It uses magnets to slow itself down. He shoves her in it. The building's on fire. Puts his wife in it.
And his child.
Her, count to 5 and then pull this lever.
Because it's going to drop through the fire, which is about 7 stories deep now.
Yeah. So it's, her and the son get in this little elevator. It goes flying. Like I've never seen anything move so fast. It's like something going to the moon, right? It's
only down.
Only down, yeah. And then she pulls the thing, and then it's really anticlimactic. It's like, oh, is that it? It stops? Like, I was hoping this would be really exciting, this scene.
It stops, and then that's it. You don't see them again.
No, and then you see her, like, being, with the police person's coat on, and the police going, "Are you okay, everybody?" It seemed anticlimactic for a big action scene. The bit with the crane where he jumps across, I did like that. I just think, I did really like that this movie. This is really, really had duct tape sponsorship or something.
It felt a little bit like a big commercial for duct tape.
But I found that kind of funny, like in a MacGyver kind of way. Because he even makes these, like, little gloves for his hands out of duct tape.
I wonder if you look it up, if they are a, actual sponsor.
I feel like they were, because they were mentioned by name.
A lot.
And he makes these gloves with the sticky side out, so he can stick to the glass as he's walking along the skies. It's really funny.
Is that funny, haha, or funny like, oh, you're Rick Grimes all of a sudden?
No, you're literally, he turns into MacGyver a couple of times, right?
MacGyver Grimes. Let's be honest. The reason I say this, because we think Rick Grimes does not have good plans. If you
In
watch
The Walking
Dead,
Dead,
yeah.
He really does
He's not the master of making plans.
Sometimes he makes a plan and they all follow it, and I turn to you or you turn to me and say, "Why are they walking in a circle? What is this?" Like, he didn't tell us the plan, but it seems like the plan is to keep going around in a circle, like for the whole episode.
I don't know what that example is, but
that was the one where they were trying to like herd all the zombies in one, and they just keep like they had Daryl on his motorcycle.
Yeah.
And he was going, and he was getting them to follow him. But it was like, you could have like telegraphed that to us in about like a scene that lasted 3 minutes, but it was kind of like the whole episode. Like.
And then it didn't work, is the point. None of the plans ever work out right.
No, so this did have a bit of that.
MacGyver Grimes, The Rock. Dwayne Johnson, MacGyver Grimes.
So this is directed by Rawson Marshall Thurber. He directed the fine movie Dodgeball.
Oh my God.
Do you remember that one?
Yep.
And he also directed We're the Millers, which is another wacky comedy with Christina Applegate, I believe. So he's used to directing those adult wacky comedies, and this is not that. It's a PG-13 action movie. Like, this never really gets gritty too much. There's a lot of shooting and people falling over, but there's no blood, did you notice?
Oh, true.
It's an A-team kind of shooting. In fact, there's a whole row of people who get shot at one point, like on this balcony.
A couple. There's several, yeah.
Yeah, and they just all fall down with no blood. It's like, it's very, it's kid-friendly violence, let's say. I mean, it's a PG-13.
Interesting.
There's one swear word used at an appropriate time.
Was there?
Yeah. He said the F word, remember? Just once. It's that movie. That's also in the guidebook of things to do in movies that are like this. You can use your F word at some point. Armageddon is one of those. And you can kill people, but don't show like the gory killing. Just show them falling over. If they're in bulletproof vests and stuff, that's fine.
Imply that they're dead.
Yeah. So, as far as direction goes, I do feel it looked a bit cheesy in parts, just CG-wise. I don't think it looked as good as it could do. I did think the building in general looked cool, but like that elevator sequence I just mentioned, it looked really weird, like, and kind of like they were just shaking the camera to make it look like... Do you know when we were watching Big Brother the other night and they were pretending to be
Star
in the plane?
Trek.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It kind of looked like they were doing that. And some of the CG looks very green screeny when I don't think it should in a movie of this big budget with the high caliber of CG. So there was that. But as far as direction goes, it's again like this movie. It's a pretty straight up action movie, isn't it? It doesn't do anything particularly clever.
No.
It's filmed like an action movie, and it does, it comes across like an action movie. So extras on the disc there are a few. There is deleted and extended scenes. There's Dwayne Johnson embodying a hero. Inspiration. Now, Inspiration is the one where I was saying that you actually see the real life amputee and who was on the set to coach Dwayne Johnson, and I found that pretty interesting. Mm-hmm. There's opposing forces, Friends No More, Kids in Action, Pineapple Pitch. Pineapple Pitch is a funny Hollywood story from Dwayne Johnson of how this movie came to be, I guess.
Was it funny?
Funny in quotes.
Funny, ha.
And there's a feature commentary by the director. So in conclusion, you know what I think, because I've just told you. I think it's a by-the-numbers action movie. I think if you like Mr. Dwayne Johnson, you will have some fun with it. I think the better Dwayne Johnson movie this summer is Rampage, in my opinion. You might like Skyscraper better, but it's not a complete loss. Even though, like I say, I didn't fully enjoy it because I felt like the stakes were... I just knew what was happening all the time. There was never once I got a surprise.
If you could pick something else to do with that hour and a half of your life, what would it be?
I would play Assassin's Creed more.
I kind of knew that was going to be the answer.
But I don't feel like it was... I just feel like it was not quite up to Dwayne Johnson's standards, and I don't know what that is. I don't know what his standards are. I mean, he makes action movies, and this is an action movie as well. Is it better than The Fast and the Furious?
Pain and Gain?
Pain and Gain is still an action movie, really, right?
But it's good.
Yeah. But Skyscraper is not going on my list of best Dwayne Johnson movies.
I'm sure that'll hurt his feelings, but he might get over it.
No. But Dwayne, on the other side of things, if you're listening, I really like Rampage. It's pretty cool. So, yeah, that's my thoughts. And yours?
I've said it. It's fun.
This is a wrap-up. You have to...
It's fun. It's forgettable.
Sito liked it more than me.
You didn't even have any fun at all.
No, I had a little bit of fun in the moments I've explained.
Well, there you go.
But mostly not. Mostly, no. So, yeah, that's Skyscraper. I want to say thanks to Universal for letting us review it. And next week we'll be looking at the latest Marvel movie, Ant-Man and the Wasp. After seeing Avengers Infinity War, what can possibly happen now? You know?
You're no kidding.
We've kind
of done the whole spiel.
Yeah, we're following up with Infinity War with Ant-Man and the Wasp. And it was in Infinity War, they did explain that he was doing something else, right? Somebody said, where is Ant-Man? And they're like, oh, he's doing something else. So I'm assuming we're going to see what he was doing when he was doing something else. So movie recommendations this week, I'm going on this, Skyscraper. I'll go for Atomic Blonde because that fight sequence reminded me of Atomic Blonde. And I'll also go with, I think it was last summer, Dwayne Johnson movie, maybe the summer before. And that was San Andreas, which is very similar to this movie, actually. If you think about it, it's him in rescuing people in skyscrapers and in a helicopter.
Yep.
It's a similar type of movie. It's a big disaster movie. I just think San Andreas, the stakes felt higher because it was a bigger area. It wasn't just this one thing. And they really went kind of crazy with the special effects in that one. They were like in the water. They were all over the place. So, Atomic Blonde and San Andreas. And you're going to go with?
Mine are, I forgot. Oh, you've mentioned one. Bourne, the original Bourne. I think had the best. Maybe one of the other ones had a good fight as well. But those fights were like, oh. And you know me, I'm not a fight sequence person.
You're not.
And Dr. No, because again, another one of my favorite fight scenes. Different kind of choreographing back in the late 50s. However, in that train with Sean Connery and that guy.
Oh, yeah.
Excellent.
All right. So, hey, Scully stuff. I've been playing 2 exceptional video games this week. I mean, October 2018 is one of the best video game months I have ever seen on a calendar. We're starting off this October with Forza Horizon 4, the latest in the Forza games. I played a lot of it this week. It takes place in Britain. It has the new feature this year is it goes through the seasons. So you've got, winter, spring, summer, fall. And
I think most people know what the seasons are.
They do. I just wanted to confirm. Now, what's really cool about Forza Horizon this year is it's the same formula as Forza Horizon 2 years ago. I mean, that one was in Australia. This one's in the UK. It's a big open world. You drive your cars around it. You collect things. You do races. There's all kinds of fun little things to do. But there's this new thing in Forza Horizon that I've been having a lot of fun with. It's called Forza Stories. And there are a bunch of these stories dotted around the map. The first one's like you become a stunt driver and you do these different like stunt drive missions. But that's not the one that caught my attention. There's one that happens a bit further into the game. And you meet this vlogger. And she's like a YouTuber, I guess, but like a fictional one. And she says, like, I'm going to run down the top 10 driving video games of all time. And each one is a mission for you to do. And it starts, and she's like, she names these video games by name. If you're a racing fan, you've played racing video games in your life. You probably played all of them. And she names them by name, and you play. Like, so the first one is Outrun, which is like the Yu Suzuki's arcade game where you drive a Ferrari from back in the 80s. She gives you the Ferrari from that game, and you drive a mission that she gives you, taking the Ferrari from one place to another. And the music they play on the radio is reminiscent of the video game that you remember. And as you're driving, because she's a vlogger, she's doing a live stream of you driving it. And she's talking about the game, and she's saying, like, I remember this was the first racing game I played in an arcade, and if you could get in that sit-down cabinet, it was like, it felt like being in a real car. And it moves on then from, like, Outrun, and it progresses, like, it's the top 10, you know, each one. And she names games that you're like, wow, yeah, like Project Gotham Racing, and Smuggler's Run, and just these different games that she mentions, and you do this level. And she does Daytona, and Daytona has this really catchy theme tune. And they obviously didn't get the license to that theme tune, but how they got around it was she sings that theme tune into the microphone a couple of times. And when you're racing, you're like, yeah, that is exactly what I remember about Daytona. It's that song that happens when you're driving. Like, so it's just a really cool tribute to other racing video games, but without having to actually get the license to those games to make it happen. So it's more of an homage, but I thought it was a really cool idea because everyone that she mentioned, I was like, yep, that's a game I played, and oh, this is exactly what you did in that game, and that's the car I remember from that game. So that's Forza Horizon 4. It is so well done. The PC version I've been playing is so well optimized this year on PC. It runs 60 frames a second, 1440p. There's never a hiccup. It's just smooth. You've seen it. It's gorgeous, right? So even your mother, who doesn't probably know anything about video games, she was like, wow, that's really nice scenery. She wasn't looking at that. But she was over my shoulder watching it. It's a really, really cool, probably one of the best, if not the best, racing video games to date. And the other game I've been playing this week is Assassin's Creed Odyssey. It's the new Assassin's Creed game. And what's big with Assassin's Creed this year is they have taken it full RPG, pretty much. Like, if you think of The Witcher 3, it's the game, the way it is structured is just like The Witcher 3. It has quests to go on. It's like the old Assassin's Creed games. They were kind of linear. You went in a mission, and you did the mission, you came out the other side, and there was the next mission. This one's a big, giant open world, and I'm talking giant. Like, even last year's Assassin's Creed, which seemed huge at the time, was a tiny pinprick compared to this map. But this map is ancient Greece. You play like a Spartan, and it's that war, the Peloponnesian War, right? That's what it is.
It sounds right. I'm not a historian.
But yeah, if you've seen the movie 300... the actual game pretty much starts with one of the scenes from 300. So, and then you play as this character. You can actually choose to be... There's two characters you can choose between. I chose the female character. She's called Cassandra. There's also a male version. And the story is slightly different, I believe, from who you pick. But you're going around. You start off on this starter island, and you're trying to figure out She wants to become an adventurer and explore. Eventually you get a big ship and a crew, and you go off and you go to different places in ancient Greece, and you have adventures, and there's loot. You collect like loot, and there's better weapons and better armor. There's lots of different missions. You can romance people like you could in BioWare games or The Witcher. And romancing, my girl romanced another girl she met, and then this girl became part of my crew on the ship. So now I have this awesome girl who's very loyal to her, and she's like the captain of the ship. So it's so big, like the starter island at the beginning, and when you finish the island at the beginning, that's when the title sequence kicks in. The title sequence didn't kick in until I was 7 hours into the game, so like that whole opening sequence, it's like a game in itself. I was like, wow, is this just the opening sequence? And then you go out on your ship, and then you dock at the next place, and the next place you dock at, you look at the map and you go, oh my god, that opening sequence that took me 7 hours. This new part that I've just come to is about 5 times the size of that, with about 5 times as much stuff in it. There's not, like, you can, run across the wilderness. There isn't much wilderness that is nothing. There's always something going on. There's like a little camp that you can take over and kill all the bad guys, or there's a cave you can explore, or there's like wild animals on the loose, or you've been given a quest to like collect like rare herbs. You have to go and find them in a meadow or something. It's like there's always something to do. There's tons of stuff to do. In fact, this week on some of the video game reviews I've read, that was the only complaint I could see. That some people said there's too many things to do. Like, I don't know what to do. Like, do I go and do that, or do I do this, or do I carry on with the story, or do I stay here and do 10 more hours of collecting things? And that's what's really cool about it, I think. You can do it the way you want to do it. I'm kind of a completionist with games, as you know.
Yep.
I won't leave games alone until I've 100%ed them. Spider-Man, for instance. I finished Spider-Man recently on the PS4. And when I finished it, I was at about 72% or something, and the rest was like collecting things and doing these really boring, like, random battles for about 3 or 4 hours in a row. But I was like, I've got to get to that 100%. I did it, but I'll probably do that with this as well. It's, again, for October, Forza Horizon 4 might be the greatest racing game ever made. Assassin's Creed is definitely the best Assassin's Creed game they've ever made. They went over and above, like, they've been kind of slowly making it an RPG instead of an action game. And now, at this point, it is a full-on RPG. So if you like The Witcher 3 and you really got into that game, this is that game, really, but with the Assassin's Creed thing over it. So give it a look, Assassin's Creed Odyssey. And the other thing, which is news, I said to you last week, Telltale Games are no more. And that's really sad, because we won't get to see the end of Clementine's story.
You were traumatized.
Yeah. Well, this week, Robert Kirkman, the creator of The Walking Dead, he has a game studio called Skybound. And he has took the rights to the Walking Dead game from Telltale, who are sadly no more, and given it to Skybound, who are going to finish the series. So it is not a cancelled game. It's being finished by a different team. Hopefully that doesn't end up like Solo. You know what I'm talking about? We watched Solo the other week, and that was kind of by 2 different directors, and it kind of felt that way. Hopefully this game stays the same and doesn't change too much. Because it doesn't need to change, does it? Like, physically. It needs to be the same kind of game, right? It doesn't need to be fancier, or it needs to just feel like it's the same thing. I
mean, it can make it better. It's good already, but you can always make things better.
Yeah, but not like a jarring thing where you're like, oh, this is by somebody else. It's just, like, make it fit. Exactly. I'm sure, we're talking about Robert Kirkman, the creator of Walking Dead. I'm sure he will sort this out. So we will see very shortly, apparently. So I'll keep you updated. So when I said October is like the best video game month ever, Forza Horizon 4, and then an Assassin's Creed game, on the 28th of this month, Red Dead Redemption 2 from Rockstar Games. What a month. Like, these 3 games are just like, it's like the 3 Holy Grail games for me. Like, I would wait years for these games, and they all appear in 1 month. It is crazy. And you know, with me with Rockstar Games,
Yep.
I 100% those things, and those things last like 100 hours. I can't wait to play that game. So, yeah, I will report on that later in the month. So, what is for dinner, Sid Talk?
Subway.
Very good. And
I
what
told
is
you
your
last night
advice?
that I would get you Subway, and I didn't get you Subway. It's old advice. I didn't make it up, and I don't think that What's-Her-Face made it up either. When I say the advice, you're going to know who What's-Her-Face is.
Can I guess?
After I say it or before?
Before.
Sure.
Is it Elsa?
Yeah. Well, so what's the advice? If you want to tell
Let
them
it go,
that, just
let it
ruin
go.
it. There you go. Let it go, people, because it's fucking annoying when people are just like, I get annoyed, all right? I get reactive. I say my piece. I think about why people do what they do. I may not like it. And then I'm like, well, most people have no effect on me whatsoever. I couldn't give a shit if anybody talks about me, doesn't like me, judges me. It says more about that person than it does about you or about me. I couldn't care less. The conversation is about, this started with, I'll say my mother, because it was my mother, who's annoyed with some of her cousins because they complained about how we do the family reunion. And I'm like, so what? So they don't come. Big deal. Well, and she's very judgmental about it, and she gets our feelings all hurt. And I'm like, wow, what? Just let it go. Have the reunion and screw them. Like, that's really how I feel. I'm not the person who wants to please everyone. It doesn't register in my brain because I think I just this person, and I've had to learn it over my life. It's new, probably in my 40s and now 50s beginning. But you just have to okay, what impact does that individual have on my actual life? If they can make a policy or a rule or take something away from your ability to make a living or something, that's different. I'm just talking about people bitching and gossiping and looking at you funny at the grocery store. Who gives a shit? Just let it go. They're not going to be there to hold your hand when you're dying. And if they are, then that's fine too. But they're not going to be the person who helps you when you're sick, who pays your mortgage, who is fixing your marriage, who comes and is your best friend, in all those ways that people are your best friend. They don't matter. There's a very small number of people in this world who really matter in your life. Really. And when you're about done with your life, if you have a chance to think about it, they're not even going to register. You're not going to sit there, hopefully, going, well, I sure am mad because she talked about me that one time. It hurt my feelings. No. No one can hurt your feelings. Only you get to decide how you feel. And all those other people, let it go. Unless they're horrible and abusive, that also is different. That's not something you just accept and let it happen. We're talking about the middle of the road, boring motherfuckers who just have nothing better to do than to gossip and complain and knock you down for whatever efforts you're making to do something. They don't matter. They have no impact on you or effect on you. And that's it. Let it go.
Thanks. Good advice.
Kind of look at them like they're a big joke. Don't verbalize it if you don't want to. You don't have to confront them, but just think about it next time you find out somebody's bitching about you or they're talking to you and they have bitched about you. Just look at them like, wow, you're like a sketch from a Saturday. You don't even you're nothing. You're nothing. You're a joke. I'm moving on. I'm over it. I'm letting it go.
Well, thank you. That was to the point and succinct.
Kind of.
So you can catch us on ascully.com, sidtalk.com. You can catch us on Twitter and Facebook. You can catch this podcast on the iTunes Music Store, the Google Play Store. You can go on your Amazon device, say the trigger word, and then say listen to After the Show Movie Podcast on TuneIn, and it will play you the latest episode. We also put the podcast on YouTube, and if you just go to ascully.com, you can just subscribe there. You can even, I have a new thing on there that you can subscribe by email, so it will send you an email when there's a new episode. And you can play it straight from the page. You can email feedback to me at ascully@ascully.com. Don't email Sid Talk. She hates you all.
I don't hate anybody. In fact, I don't hate anybody. I just let it go.
Stay classy, Mr. Dwayne Johnson. Hopefully your next movie will be something that I like better than this one.
I'm sure he's worried about that.
He needs to you need to think about me.
He's listening to this and he doesn't like what you're saying. And he's like, you know what? That guy has no effect on my life. I'm going to let it go.
Well, when he's on the cover of the movie, you better not let it go there.
Yeah, true. And I'm going to say think for yourself or someone will do it for you.